Open Your Eyes is brought to you by the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.
Good morning and welcome to Open Your Eyes.
Start your morning right.
I'm April Martinez.
And I'm Paul Lopez.
Good morning, good morning,
Good morning.
good morning. Sorry about that. I know they made tell me cue, right? But I just like Paul and I were engaged in a very, very deep conversation before the cameras came on.
It's Tuesday morning, April.
Oh, it's Tuesday morning, Paul. Good
Lovely
morning.
Tuesday morning.
Yes.
I hope that wherever you are, if you're waking up with us, that you're waking up with a smile on your face. And you know, if the night wasn't as restful as you would have wanted it, that you could wake up still, get through the day, grind through the day, and find some rest later on this evening. But despite it all, don't let your circumstances get you down. That's my motivation.
Paul is such like one of those positive people. The amount of I've been in situations with Paul where I'm like, no, rage, be upset. And he's like, it's going to be okay. Just remain positive. Nothing happened to you. You're still healthy. And I'm like,
yeah, you know, April, being positive is not being ignorant of what's happening around you.
Of course.
And you have to understand, all right, this has happened, acknowledge that this has happened, and if there's honestly not much you could do to change it, if it is as a result of somebody else's behavior, then you really just have to find where you fit in all of this and what your response should be. So that's basically how you should take on every day, if you ask.
So we don't need an eye opener. We just need Paul for like come and give a.
Come on, man. Let me start writing these things, folks.
I like it. But of course, you know, we always get started on our show with, you know, just talking a little bit about what's buzzing on the news last night. Paul is along with Isani and so forth, our journalists here at Channel 5, and so every now and again, whenever I have a chance to have them on the couch, I kind of like to interrogate them because they're there, right? They're the one, boots on the ground, on the scene with all of the stories that get told at night at the news segment. So, Paul, give us your input on what the headline is to speak about.
So much has happened, April, just over the last 24 hours since we've been here on set. I mean, where do we start? We could talk about the Social Security Board $7 million loan to a pharmacy. We could that once was reputed for primarily selling Viagra. We could talk about the People's Constitutional Commission and the committee meeting that they held yesterday, which was scheduled for 15 minutes and started somewhere around 10:30 and lasted all the way up until after 4 p.m. because you had inputs from youth organizations, one youth organization in particular, the Young Leaders Alliance of Belize. You had contributions from the Creole Council. You had contributions from the diaspora. You had contributions from independent bodies. I mean, people flocked to the National Assembly yesterday, which is an encouraging sign in terms of participating in the democratic
when I heard
process.
that they were only going to give it a 15-minute segment, I said never.
Yeah.
Never, ever. You can't.
Whatever they take.
You know, I have no idea what they were thinking, but I like the initiative to bring these people together. I like the fact that you have several stakeholders that believe that they need to be a part of it because they represent Belizean communities, right? I just want that whatever decisions do get made, that everybody does remain objective. Everybody that is asking to be a part of that commission deserves to be a part of it. They need to be that voice for their communities, right? So
indeed,
I'm excited to see what takes hold
because
after.
of how wholesome of a process it is.
Yes.
In terms of it affecting
Everybody.
Different aspects of society. Everybody, in fact.
Yeah.
But the true question is, how much representation can we really have on this commission. I think you have to find general bodies and umbrella bodies more so than to find specific communities, because then you'll have the weightlifting community, for example, coming in and saying, okay, we want to give our input on restrictions as it relates to gyms.
I mean, I don't think you're going that far, but let me take you down memory lane for a little bit, right? This country was built on different persons that no longer reside here.
Yeah.
This country was the vision of other people before, right? And all of these people now that are coming together are those that have felt they've been marginalized, they have been suppressed, oppressed, and they have been voiceless from before we had independence. So now here is an opportunity for me and my people to come forth and give a certain change to our regulation that will change the lives of many people. So yes, it seems like everybody is trying to nitpick and do their part, but if you are somebody that felt that you never had an opportunity to provide any kind of change, this is the time to do it. So of course I'm going to take my life. Of course that last 5 hours and not 15 minutes, because this is a rare opportunity given to Belizean people.
I see what you're saying. It's like rules are handed down to us, and we see some things in these rules that we say, all right, these don't apply to us. And now we're, like you're saying, we're given an opportunity to kind of change that, change those rules. And if we could do that now, then everybody wants to make their contributions. And then, of course, in the same vein, we could talk about the whole issue or the controversy surrounding Pastor Louis Wade, who is also a journalist and a media representative representing the independent media as its representative on the commission. And we see some valid arguments coming out of this controversy, particularly from the LGBT community slash Caleb Orozco in terms of his objections to it. And then we see where there are certain factors, certain corners that are saying the media slipped up, that the media messed up in selecting Pastor Wade as its representatives. I could see where some of these arguments are valid, not to get too deep into any one of them, but in terms of Pastor Wade's public stance on a number of issues and the question as to whether or not he would be able to put aside his biases, slash calling slash religious mission, Christian mission aside for the collective good of one, this process, and two, the voice or the positions of his colleagues within the media.
And that is it's something to take into consideration when we're especially when we're talking about rules and regulations that will affect the general population, right? We want to make sure that the people that are making these decisions and are writing these regulations, that they're as objective as possible and not to let their personal bias. Who knows, maybe Louis Wade can do it. You never know, but the factor remains is that his public figure does not give us that comfort that he will remain objective.
If you ask me, I'd venture to say that he is quite able to remain objective, that he's quite able to take the process and to follow through with the consultative discussion back and forth with the body he represents, which is the independent media. So in that sense, I don't necessarily take qualms in that. I do believe he is able to be objective, but still at the same time, there is nothing like this type of controversy that brings out other perspectives that we are
Of
really
course,
thinking
and like I
about.
said, honestly, it doesn't even only fall on Louis Wade. It falls on every other person that is there. That
Indeed.
it is your responsibility to remain objective.
Yeah.
You are not there fighting for your own personal biases. You are there fighting for the good and the betterment of the country, of the population. So let's see what happens, right? Time will only tell. I don't know what the circumstances would be if nobody can come to a decision. You know, that in itself would be something else to think about.
I sit and I
Yeah.
say it's yet to be seen.
It is.
But April, moving on from that, from the political arena, from the National Assembly, to really what's happening outside of the National Assembly in our streets. It's particularly what's happening in Belize City with the increase in crime and violence. We had breaking news at the top of the news last night in terms of 2 shootings yesterday in the St. Martin's area, as they would refer to it. That's on Ebony Street. 2 shootings, one on Ebony Street and another one on Vernon Street. Information we received late yesterday evening is that a single gunman pursued one Darren Banks on Ebony Street, a 42-year-old Darren Banks. Reputable name in the streets, notoriously known, as some would put it, that the gunman pursued Darren Banks down Ebony Street. We saw where it appears as if he ran in an attempt to escape. So his hat that he had on was somewhere up the street, and then his he fell farther down and into a drain. That gunman then, according to eyewitnesses, made his way down Ebony Street onto Amandala Drive, formerly known as Partridge Street. That's taking a left. And then he turned onto Vernon Street again and another left. And that's where he saw another group of men hanging out. And he fired shots at that group and injured another person. So a second victim. But as we understand it, while Darren Banks, he succumbed to his injuries, the second victim was taken to the hospital, and we are yet to confirm the condition of that person. But you think of this is quite similar to what could be described as a mass shooting per se. It's on a smaller scale, but when you think about the proximity, when you think
How many
about
other persons could have gotten hurt.
could have gotten hurt, innocent bystanders. We're thinking about the fact that this happened in front of a school, a primary school. If school was in session, and those
kids would have been
students
hurt.
were out on break, or those students were out on lunch, or it's in the evening. I know it's after school, so perhaps coming out of an after-school program. Then we're talking about residents living in this area, children living in this area. All of this could have been more catastrophic than it is right now. So what are we doing, and what will we do to put a handle on this?
You know, when we always discuss what we're going to discuss on the show in the morning, the same old stories of gun violence never seem to deflect. I don't know if there's ever been a newscast where there is no kind of gun violence or somebody getting hurt or some level of violence that is taking place in the media. But for this particular circumstance, for this particular headline, I would like to know the underlying problems. What led to this particular shooting? Because you know, nobody seems to be connecting any kind of dots, right? It just seemed random, but these kinds of things are not random.
They are not.
So I am looking forward to see what the police can gather up in terms of evidence, because at the end of the day, yes, this happened, and it's so horrible that this happened, but we need to get to the root of the problem.
That's one of the stories we'll delve into a bit more today to kind of understand exactly what happened and kind of the street turf wars, perhaps, gang war, perhaps, drug war, perhaps, that may have led to this. But April, finally, just moving right along, one final story that we saw in the newscast last night had to do with the Greenland shark.
I know you covered that, and I know you were so excited about it.
Belize. Well, it's interesting because we did the interview last week, and we were just holding out on the story to kind of allow for a scientific document to be published, because they did the founders or those researchers who discovered the shark did make a publication in some scientific journal. I'm not sure of the exact one, but a Greenland shark, April, half-blind shark that lives and thrives
in the cold, icy
of the
water.
Icy Arctic Greenland. So when I heard the name, the Greenland shark, I asked, all right, so what's special about the Greenland shark? It's like, oh, that's for Greenland. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Greenland. Way up there.
North, yeah.
Way up north. And so it's a phenomenon in that they're questioning what is this shark doing in these tropical waters, and more so in a reef system.
Right.
So we found it
You know,
interesting.
there's so many. I love stories like this because you can dive into so many discussions, and you can hypothesize so many things, and you can guess why. But you know, one of the bigger or probably the most talked about reason why would be climate change.
Yeah.
The waters are getting warmer. This shark is going to adapt somewhere. And you know, it stems to, we talk about how adaptable humans are to a particular environment and so forth, but we always tend to forget that different species do the same. And I love this story in particular because one of the things to take into consideration is that it's the only one.
Yeah.
So it's the only one that has made its way from Greenland.
Crazy, right?
We don't even know if it had others with it along the way. Did they survive? Did they not survive? How do you even track that you know, that migration from Greenland all the way to our waters? So it's I hope that you continue this story because I'm excited to see
there's a
research behind
there's
it.
a tagging process in research to kind of track, but because they thought that it was an Atlantic six-gill shark, which is a common sighting to an extent in these waters, they didn't tag it. They released it, and it was after releasing it that they found out what it really was. But now they've been equipped with 5 of these international satellite tags in the event lightning strikes the same place twice.
Well, I want to know more about how is it going to affect our reef's ecosystem? How is it going to affect the natural stability of the Atlantic Ocean and the Caribbean Sea? I like stories like this, and I hope that you continue to cover it or continue to track it so that we can find out more research
Indeed,
about
I'll
it.
go on an expedition.
You should go to Patagonia. There's a lot of things there. But finally, the one thing that we do have to buzz about and remind our viewers about is
KTV. It's the remix.
I'm still surprised that you didn't go on audition.
Well, I'm backstage every week, so I get to have fun from the backstage. That's as far on stage as I will get with KTV, the remix. But I've been enjoying the show, April.
I've been enjoying the show too. It's a little bit difficult for me to watch the entire thing because I have to get up early in the morning the next day. But so far, I love the contestants. I love the energy and the vibe that they're bringing. Tonight is disco night, so I'm really excited to see the entertainment. Yes, that right. I say you should have my audition. But yes, tonight KTV the remix is live on 5 and streaming on our various social media platforms at 8 p.m. So you don't want to miss it. Tickets are adults $5, children $3, and of course you want to make sure that you get there early, get a good seat, and of course, if you want to see your favorite contestant continue on, you have to cast your vote. But KTV the remix is back tonight at 5. But we got to get moving into our show this morning, and we probably don't motivate you. We're going to motivate you some more. With our eye opener. And our eye opener is taken from dailyom.com, and it goes like this. Honesty is one of your most precious and powerful resources. Promises are easily made. Keeping them often proves more difficult because when we are pressured to strive always for perfection, we find it simpler to agree to undertake impossible tasks than to say no. Likewise, there is an infinite array of circumstances that conspire to goad us into telling falsehoods. Even when we hold a great reverence for truth, when you endeavor to consistently keep your word, however, you protect your reputation and promote yourself as someone who can be trusted to be unfailingly truthful. Though your honesty may not always endear you to others, for there will always be those who fear the truth, you can nonetheless be certain that your integrity is never tarnished by the patina of deceit. Since frankness and sincerity form the basis of all life-enriching relationships, your word is one of your most precious and powerful possessions. Since the path of truth frequently represents the more difficult journey, embarking upon it builds character. You can harness the power of your word when you do your best to live a life of honesty and understand what motivates dishonesty. In keeping your agreements and embodying sincerity, you prove that you are worthy of trust. Paul, your thoughts?
It's that last sentence for me. In keeping your agreements and embodying sincerity, you prove that you are worthy of trust. That kind of encapsulates the entire motivation for this morning. It's not always easy to keep your word or to keep a commitment that you've made. There are circumstances that will come up and will throw you off, whether it's a bad experience while engaging in that commitment, whether it is some emotional situation, whether you're just tired. You ever give somebody a word and say, yeah, I'm going, no worry about nothing, I want the day later, and then you work hard all day and then you get home and you have half an hour rest and they're like, you know what, I like this bed too much, or I like this couch enough, and you know, I don't think I could make it.
But you see, in circumstances like those, or I understand what you're saying, right? Sometimes you commit yourself because you believe that you can do it, or you believe that you can help, but then along the way, you start to feel less and less motivated, or circumstances have changed that you no longer can commit. When those circumstances change, that is the time to be honest, because you don't want to get to that point where the person is expecting and then you don't deliver. So you have to show yourself that gateway to provide that honesty, give yourself and that person the comfort that, guess what, I can't. And
when does it become a problem though? Because let's say, and I get you, and you're right, and I've never thought about the honesty aspect of making a commitment and then not being able to fulfill that commitment. However, what if I keep, in a what if scenario, I keep making commitments and I keep having to be honest about not being in a mental or emotional or physical state to fulfill that commitment and to back out, then perhaps me on the receiving end has to be honest about you and tell you to, hey, you need to stop making commitments that you can't keep. And let's be honest more so about the issues you're facing, and the next time you come and say you'll make a commitment, I'll be honest to you and say, April, I don't think that you'll fulfill this commitment, so don't even make it.
I mean, there are better ways to phrase it, especially if you're talking about one's mental health. But I am that person where I will not ask you. If I'm seeing that you are in a state where I know you can't help me, but you are that person that can't say no, so you will still say yes, even though you know you can't, not ask you.
Yeah.
You know, it's not fair to you, it's not fair to me. But when it comes to honesty, it is the best policy. And let's hear about honesty from our weather folks.
Be honest with us.
Be honest with us about the... Good morning.
Good morning, April and Paul.
How are you?
I'm doing well.
All right, Francisca, you want to be honest with me about the weather this morning?
I'm always honest with you guys.
Well, then you have to tell me that it's sunny and that I don't have to wear a raincoat anymore.
You don't have to wear a raincoat, but still back your umbrella with you.
Shucks. Okay, well,
remember,
give us the general situation for this morning.
Okay, so from what I'm seeing, the atmosphere is still pretty much moist, still unstable. And so today, as we're saying, for the past couple of days, we'll see sunny skies, we'll see cloudy spells, and we'll see a few showers and isolated thunderstorms around the country. Currently, we're not seeing much. We have a land breeze that's tending to keep the showers out at sea, but during the course of the day, the winds will go around to the east, and these will come in.
All right. And what about our temperatures?
Okay, so we'll be seeing 87 along the coast this afternoon, 92 inland, 80 up in the Maya Mountains, and then overnight temperatures, 81 along the coast, 74 inland, and 68 up in the Maya Mountains.
Okay. And the outlook for Wednesday?
Okay, so we'll continue to see a few showers around the country Wednesday night, especially along the coast and over southern areas.
Okay. Any tropical updates for us? Warnings?
It's pretty quiet. I keep forgetting to mention the sargassum forecast. It's very important. So we're continuing to see that several sargassum mats could still be affecting our beaches during the next few days.
Okay.
I know that's very important because that's a very ugly sight.
Yes. So we had the folks, we had Dr. Terrell Thompson yesterday tell us about sargassum research and what we could do with it. So hopefully in the next few years, we don't have to have so much sargassum updates.
Right. Okay, and you asked me about the tropics. It's pretty quiet right now. We're just looking at 2 tropical waves, but no significant thing about them.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Francisca, for stopping by, being honest, and telling us the weather for this morning.
You're welcome. Have a good day.
Have a good day. Bye.
Thank you.
Okay,
Bye.
bye-bye.
So that is the weather for today.
You just kind of have to bear with what we've been sort of experiencing throughout the last few days, right?
We'll be fine. I think it's going to be great.
You've been
warned. And we got to get moving into our show for this morning. We have 3 jam-packed sessions for today. And our first conversation will be with the Anti-Trafficking in Persons Council. We will be here to talk about the anti-trafficking upgrade and abuse of technology.
And in our second conversation, we will have Mr. Dylan Vernon, and he'll be here to talk to us about his new book. He's the author of several pieces, including Political Clienteleism and Democracy in Belize. You all know what a big word means? Well, stay tuned. We'll tell you all about it. It's a very interesting topic.
And of course, our final conversation for this morning, as you know, we're gearing up for back to school. We will have the Belize City Council talk to us about the back to school super sale. So you want to stick around for that. You know, maybe if you need a uniform, a book, they might be a bag, they might be able to help you out.
Yeah.
So stay tuned for that conversation. And with that, we're going to take our first break. And when we get back, we'll be talking about the anti-trafficking upgrade. So stay tuned.
Keep still now.
Ouch.
I tell you no move.
Ma, you really can't get a mannequin for this, ma? Really?
Well, son, if I never lend you the $2,000 to buy the kids' computer and the book, I may have the money for buy my mannequin.
It's definitely better to borrow from the bank than from your friends or relatives. This way, all you owe is money.
Would you like me to turn around?
That would be good. Turn on, turn on, turn on.
Take advantage of the back-to-school promotion currently being offered by the Belize Bank.
The Social Security Board, in collaboration with the Labor Department, takes this opportunity to remind insured persons of the requirements for compensation when on sick leave. Any employee who has worked with an employer for at least 2 months is entitled to 16 working days of sick leave with full pay every year. This is how it works. Upon approval of a sickness or injury benefit claim by SSD, 80% of the employee's weekly insurable earnings is paid as a Social Security benefit, and the difference in the employee's salary is paid by the employer. This is to ensure that the employee does not suffer any loss of wages when ill. After 16 days, compensation for sick leave is paid as a Social Security benefit only. Some conditions apply. This message is brought to you by the Social Security Board and the Labor Department. Social Security Board, safeguarding you, your family, your future.
Make your summer better. Over $35,000 in cash and prizes with Smart Summer Sweepstakes. Here's how you can enter for a chance to win. Purchase any device, sign up for a smart postpaid, broadband, or VoIP plan, use $50 or more regular prepaid credit, do a SIM swap, or text to the short code. You win 8946. And in the body of the message, enter the number of entries you would like to purchase. Each entry costs only 50 cents.
Don't waste any time. You can be the winner of weekly prizes starting July 1st. All methods give you more chances to win. Airline tickets, overnight stays at numerous resorts, cash prizes, gift certificates, and much, much more. One lucky person will win the grand prize of a $10,000 shopping spree courtesy Court and Smart.
Promotion ends September 16, 2022. So make your summer better by getting in the race to win with Smart Summer Sweepstakes. Smart, bringing people together.
Your Tuesday night entertainment is back. KTV The Remix Season 4.
KTV.
Come on out and win fabulous prizes and the chance to compete in our halftime challenge. Tickets are available at Channel 5 on Coney Drive at $3 for children and $5 for adults. Mask will be required. Or you can watch it live on Channel 5 or streaming on Facebook. The show starts at 8 p.m. at the Bliss Center for the Performing Arts. KTV The Remix Season 4. It's hot, it's live, and it's only on 5.
Calling all young performers. It's your turn to take the stage. If you have the talent, we have the show for you. Here's your chance to perform in Belize's #1 children's talent show, Summerfest 2022. Singing, dancing, acting, whatever your talent, we want to see. Come audition on Thursday, August 4th and Friday, August 5th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. right here at Channel 5 on Coney Drive. Auditions are open to all children under 18 in any performing art. Don't miss your chance to be a part of the show. It's Summerfest 2022.
Good, and we're back. And we are back. We're nailing this today. Really, we are. And with our first conversation this morning, we have in studio with us talking about the anti-trafficking upgrade, particularly about abuse of technology. In studio, we have Jana Murillo, who is the Anti-Trafficking in Persons Council focal point. And we have Sean Vargas, who is the Director of Department of Human Services. Good morning.
Good morning.
I did correct, right?
Us. Yes, you did.
But thank you so much for stopping by. Of course, this is a very important topic, and we want to make sure that our audience understands the severity of the situation. So, just for our own, foundation, talk to us about what is the definition of human trafficking.
So, human trafficking, the definition can get pretty technical, right? If we talk about what has to be proven in court and so forth, but in essence, it's where forced product coercion is used for the purpose of obtaining commercial sex or forced labor. And forced labor and commercial sex is just two of the purposes that we consider that human trafficking occurs. There are other ways that persons are exploited. It's kind of a wide-ranging idea, enforcement of criminal activity, prostitution, illegal organ removal, legal adoption. it's wide ranging, but in Belize particularly, we see forced labor and commercial sex. So we focus on those particular two areas, but in essence, that's what human trafficking is.
And what is Belize doing to fight that type of exploitation of humans?
Well, I think to set the stage, we want to look at the organization that's in place to address human trafficking in Belize, and that's the Anti-Trafficking in Persons Council, which is a multi-sectoral agency, well, not agency, but council that takes from government ministries and NGOs. And what the idea is behind that is that if it's their role in government, it's their role in addressing human trafficking. So for the DPP, their role is prosecutions of criminal cases brought by the police, and therefore they prosecute all trafficking cases on behalf of the police and the government. So that's how it works. If that is their role, then that is their role in addressing human trafficking in Belize.
So I know Mr. Vargas, as the Director of the Department of Human Services, you would be able to put into context some of those services offered to victims in this process.
Yeah, our role as part of the council looks at victim care. We deal with survivors or possible victims of trafficking. The government has invested heavily in care for trafficking victims or survivors, and that is something that has been, how long we've been looking at?
For a minute.
So the report cited what the ministry has done in terms of looking at the migrant shelters, the investment that the department put into staff, employing more staff, and looking at access to transportation and technologies for social workers who are in the field.
Why is it of such importance for the government and through the department to make these investments in this area?
Because we have to look at the victims and what they are going through. We have to look at what is important for us as a country and what we're going to tolerate. So it has to show that the government is serious, and while the police and the DPP is going to focus on the prosecution, our responsibility is to ensure that the victims are comfortable and we prepare them for what is coming next. So we will go the extra mile to support the victims.
Are these victims mainly migrants? Because I heard you mention migrants.
Yes, the Belizeans are a part of it, but migrants are also a large component.
From Central America?
Central America, yes. And within the region.
Okay. How do you deal with a situation where some victims might not even know that that is the situation that they're in?
When we look at when we look at that, we make sure that we inform the client or the survivor the best way we can, and we don't move directly have the police officers direct contact with the victim or the investigators. They are attached to a social worker first, and then through that preparation process, then an interview session is taken. And once that is done and the details of the matter are pulled from there.
Okay, I want to take a step back where we're talking about the types of services that you do provide, but how do you even get to that point where you are being told that there might be a possibility of human trafficking in this area?
Well, that's where we come into the conversation of reporting, and we get reports from various entities within our community. We get it directly from police, we get reports through Crime Stoppers, we do get reports through different like offices within the country, so like DHS offices or NGOs. People might come to them for service from something completely different, and then it might be identified. And so it comes to, the focus is really on identification and reporting. And the good thing is we do have NGOs working across the country looking at human trafficking and what it looks like. And so they oftentimes call us and say, you know, we have a potential case that we would like to refer to you guys. So it depends. It depends on the case and where it's coming from, on whether or not we're going to get it from Crime Stoppers or we're going to get it from an NGO, or if they're going to walk into DHS's office,
make the report,
or walk into the police department and police office and make a report. The good thing is what we have done and this is probably not included in the report because this was finished after the reporting period, but through working with an NGO, we actually validated protocols for identifying victims where DHS, the Department of Human Services, social workers, labor officers, and immigration officers were trained on how to identify victims on their job. And currently they're doing a training of trainers to ensure that any new persons that come on staff will also get training on identifying, because persons might come to, especially since we talked about migrants being a part of the victims, a proportion of victims, we know that immigration officers might come in contact with them, and we want to make sure that when they're interviewing them or going through their process, that they're looking out for potential victims.
What areas in Belize does the report say this issue is more prevalent?
It doesn't speak specifically to an area, but based on observation, we've seen a lot of the cases coming from the district areas, San Ignacio or Cayo and Stan Creek district, in terms of victims.
Closer to the border.
But also in the reporting component, we just have informed residents, informed Belizeans who would see certain things and would make note. And that's important for us also, because it shows that people are paying attention.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that, I guess I'm going to segue into something brief. Sure. Bring us to what's happening this Friday. Well, not this Friday, but this Saturday, but we're doing the event on Friday for World Day Against Human Trafficking, which is the United Nations Day identified as when we raise awareness for trafficking in persons, because we realize at the government level that we might know all of this information, but if the public does not know this information, it's useless.
Yes.
We need persons to be our eyes and ears, and we raise these campaigns because we realize that if they understand that there's a system in place to actually address what they're seeing, then they're more inclined to report. So we definitely see the importance of getting the public understanding of what is human trafficking, and that it does exist, because we do have persons that don't really think that it exists in Belize.
I don't know that there are persons, so yes, there are persons that don't think it exists, but there may also be those persons that see it as a mutually beneficial agreement in terms of labor. I give you cheap labor and you give me income.
But then that's where the exploitation comes in. We need to.
And then you become
about not knowing if you are
become the police.
Because that happens sometimes.
You become the police because you are running me down, trying to find me, but all I'm trying to do is make some money.
But that can happen to Belizeans that are trying to make their way to the United States.
Perhaps I'm talking more about in the United States as well.
I think the underlying issue is that Belizean citizens don't think that it's happening to Belizeans. We often associate human trafficking with people outside coming in. And I know that we don't even think about that kind of situation, especially when it's trafficking of children, right? And they'll be used as forced labor at a young age and other things. But I wanted to talk about what the campaign is focusing on and what it is that you're trying to bring home for the general population.
Okay, so my biggest thing right now is that I want the Belizean public to develop empathy towards victims. And this is not me saying that they lack it, but maybe understanding what victims go through, they're more inclined to be compassionate towards the situation and be more willing to raise awareness or report something if they see it. And so the biggest thing for us this World Day Against Human Trafficking is to raise awareness because we want to raise empathy, but also there's a focus on the use and abuse of technology.
Right.
As we see that technology is coming up and younger persons are using social media more, it is in those areas that we find that traffickers might be more inclined to seek for victims, because they look out for those that are vulnerable, or they put out advertisements, or they put out these hooks that persons might,
the fake ads,
and persons might say, well, I'll look into that because I need a job. Imagine a 17-year-old out of high school. Their parents don't have money to send them to junior college or college. So what do? They need to find work. And if they see something that might be maybe too good to be true, they're not quite prepared to understand that is not the case. And then with traffickers, they will abuse technology by being able to make more profit without having to do much work. So if they have content on children or adults, they can send that or publish it or gain profit from it without having to lift a finger or going anywhere. But it's important to also see that technology is something that's useful for us, right? We've seen a lot of improvements in understanding how we can crack cases by using social media. And I know like the police unit that is dedicated to investigating human trafficking cases have done trainings with UNODC and with other groups that teach them how to do Facebook investigations, because we've realized the change of the change in landscape, the culture, exactly. Yes. We need to adjust because we're going to be left behind once we finally get the hook of investigating cases that are happening on the ground. We might lose those on
How are
technology.
you planning to track those online? I would imagine that's quite difficult.
It is. It is quite difficult, and I can't speak as an expert, particularly on what progress we're making in technology-wise. But I can tell you this much: that programs and gadgets that can be useful for us. It is something that we're looking into to see how we can improve the ATIP's police unit's ability to investigate cases online.
I guess this is kind of overstepping a little bit, and this is how you know I watch a lot of TV. Is there any connection with like Interpol and getting that wide international database so that we can track?
That's part of the
process. No, Interpol is a thing.
That is part of the process. The department works closely with the unit, and we look at matters and make sure we consult with them once they're issues that we're working on, and especially because the social workers spend a lot of time with the victims.
Right.
And so that trust is important. The trust component is important. And so information is had, and that's how we would ask them to pay attention to these things. So definitely the unit utilizes that Interpol component.
Remaining on the international scope, we understand that in the recent 2022 TIP report that Belize was upgraded to Tier 2.
Yes.
What does that mean for the country, and how do we address that tier to kind of bring it down?
Okay, so let me. Think of it like CXC grades. Grade 1 is the highest. So grade 1 is higher.
That's what I'm saying. So if you're at grade 2, you want to get to grade 1.
Yes.
Right. So how do you go down?
Okay, in my mind, I'm thinking
No, we go up to grade 1. We go up Tier 1.
I think So Tier 1 is the goal, and I want to first by saying that we are very happy that the work that Belize has been doing is being recognized. And it's not just the faces that you see here. There's a lot of work being done on the ground, social workers, prosecutors, officers,
immigration officers,
immigration, labor, NGOs. We have a community of persons working to assist us, intergovernmental agencies that help with funding and projects, and they push as well, persons that have the same passion. But to give some context to the report, there's 3 tiers that you can be put on. Tier 3 is the lowest, and that's where they say that you're not making significant efforts towards getting to the minimum standards according to US legislation. Tier 2 has 2 levels, so you have Tier 2 and then you have Tier 2 watch list. Tier 2 watch list is where you are making some effort, but you're not showing enough
to get to
evidence to get to Tier 2. Tier 2 is where you've not met the minimum standard, but you're making significant efforts and have provided evidence to show that you are making those efforts. And then, so that's where we are right now. We used to be at Tier 2 watch list, but this year we are at Tier 2, right? So it is It's a celebration for us. And tier 1 is where we would want to be.
We've never been a tier 1 country.
No, I don't believe.
I don't think anybody in the region is.
Bahamas and Guyana. I'm not sure what they are this year, but I know previously they have been at tier 1.
Are we learning from them as well?
Yeah, so what we do...
I think the CEO Santos had looked at that in terms of a study, what's going on in Guyana, how we can mirror what they're doing in Guyana. But it's significant efforts of the team
I would imagine that there's certain differences as well, though, because we are one of those countries that are smack in the middle between the Caribbean and Central America. So there's a lot of trafficking by migration, tourism, all of that stuff.
So I think that brings up a good conversation. I want to start by saying one thing first. What the council also does, they engage with regional agencies. So we are a part of the regional coalition against human trafficking and human smuggling, which involves Central American countries, Mexico, and the Dominican Republic. We also sit in meetings with the OAS and with CARICOM impacts to discuss issues of trafficking in persons. And so we do have dialogue with persons from the region looking at what they've done and maybe how we can learn from it. Now, with that conversation about migration, it's good to make that clarification between migrant smuggling and human trafficking and human smuggling, because with smuggling there is an element of consent, right, where they pay someone to get them across a border, and that is a crime against the state because you're violating the state's border rights to say who comes in and who goes out. Now, human trafficking, my apologies, is where there's no consent. Right, there is no need for the crossing of a border, and there is force involved. Force, fraud, coercion, and other forms of deception.
Is there a way that the smuggling turns into trafficking?
Yes. Okay. Very easily, because smuggled migrants are very vulnerable to be trafficked because they're walking through, or
they're at the risk. They're at risk, and
nobody knows them.
Right. And they're not within legal territory. They're outside of where legality is. So police is not police, but BDF is not patrolling, or they don't have access to these places because they're intentionally avoiding authorities. So once you're with someone that's intentionally avoiding authorities, you are at risk of becoming a victim. Sometimes migrants may run out of money as they're on their journey, so they get trafficked. Or there are many different ways that it can turn into trafficking.
So we're quickly running out of time, but I want to go back to the campaign and what we're planning and what it's going to be about, where it's going to be held at, what time, how can I go?
How can you go? I'm sure Channel 5 is invited, but we do have a virtual campaign that we are going to be, I guess, we have to call it the Blue Heart event on Friday. We're going to be in San Ignacio. We're going to be streaming it live for the public to see, and we've invited the media to be there. It's just to raise awareness about these exact same things that we're talking about, but a little bit more in detail. The idea is that everybody's going to be wearing blue, and I want to specify very heavily that the reason that we are asking you to wear blue is because it's to recognize universal color to raise awareness for human trafficking. This is the United Nations, any blue.
Any blue.
It's not any blue, but any blue, because I can't expect everyone to have that same shade of blue, right? And it's recognized, there we go, it's recognized by the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime. They have a particular campaign actually called the Blue Heart campaign. And the blue heart signifies two things. It signifies the sadness that victims have to experience because of what they've gone through, and the cold-heartedness of traffickers for utilizing persons as property. So,
I love the fact that you made mention earlier that you're seeking to instill empathy for victims. Just from this discussion, where empathy begins for me is at the most critical level, which is that these situations could prove fatal for victims. Just imagine you have a child, and your child is somewhere where no one knows him or no one knows her, and that child is being put under severe stress, victimized,
sexual exploitation,
caused to work, and you're sitting here like, what I could only imagine what my child is going through, and that child living in that type of condition. And if the child ends up in a situation that proves to be fatal, no one knows what becomes of that person. Out of sight, out of mind, ends up on a missing list for years and then just disappears into thin air. And so when you think about it like that, when you put it in that type of context, for me, it's like, all right.
We're not going to see people chained up against lampposts on Albert Street.
What you see on the TV.
Right. It's not what you're seeing taken. It is it's a mental form of imprisonment, where persons really believe maybe that they have to be here, that they had no choice, or this is their fault. And they've been convinced of all these things, and so they don't want to come for help, or they don't know that this is what's happening to them because of the life that they've lived. You know, and it doesn't matter that you didn't have anything before. You're not because of somebody's history, you have the right to take away their dignity and their freedom.
The significant level of trauma that the survivors have to deal with. So for your life, it's a lifetime process, you know.
I can only imagine the conversations that happen between them and their social worker after theirs.
Social workers are angels.
I kudos. We need more of those. But thank you both so much. I know we had so much more to talk about, and I know that I kind of trumped your list a little bit.
Hey, that's fine.
But you're welcome anytime, and we hope that you get a full house on.
I'll take that invitation seriously, you know.
Tomorrow then they come back.
But with that, we're going to take a short break, and when we get back, we'll stick with our second segment. So stay tuned.
Technology is ubiquitous, and it's transforming how, when, and where we work. Fulltech Systems is placing award-winning devices in the hands of information workers, allowing them to work without compromise in a world without wires, to innovate, create, and to maximize productivity anytime, anywhere, satisfying the needs of the desk-centric remote and field worker and every other worker in between. We are providing the industry's best devices to businesses going through the process of digital transformation. Partner with us today to provide the solutions that will allow your employees to work effectively and efficiently to enhance your customers' experience. Fulltech Systems, your technology center, where you'll come for the price, but stay for the service.
Wake up! Now which cheese you think you may eat all the while? Gallo cheese with the blue rooster on the label is the traditional and the real deal. The original Dutch, redback or hard cheese in a Belize. Be aware, check your label and make sure it is in English and for the Belize market. Gallo cheese with the blue rooster, the real deal. Santiago Castillo Limited, supporting and building our Belizean community for 95 years and counting.
Gallo Edam Dutch cheese, aged and tropicalized, the best formula for the Belize market, exclusively distributed by Santiago Castillo Limited.
I'm on my way to Belize, where I can get what I need and save some money. After 75 years in the business, nobody do it like Benny's. Hello, how may I help you? Anything you need, we got you. Whether it tools or tiles, lights and fans, we are serving with a smile. Genuine plumbing and electric supply, quality construction supply, heating and air condition, 100% Belizean. Benny's, celebrating 75 years of quality and savings. Quality and savings. Benny's, celebrating 75 years of quality and savings. Quality and savings. Benny's, celebrating 75 years. Quality and savings. Quality and savings.
Belize Tropical Hemp Company Limited introduces its new CBD products. CBD milk chocolate and CBD dark chocolate. Vegan, gluten-free with no GMO. CBD oil, 100% natural, provides many health benefits such as relieving pain and anxiety and improved heart health. Hemp cigarettes come in a pack of 10 natural hemp smokables. CBD seaweed, natural and refreshing, rich in vitamins and minerals. All products are produced and packaged by Belize Tropical Hemp Company Limited.
Calling all young performers. It's your turn to take the stage. If you have the talent, we have the show for you. Here's your chance to perform in Belize's #1 children's talent show, Summerfest 2022. Singing, dancing, acting, whatever your talent, we want to see. Come audition on Thursday, August 4th and Friday, August 5th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. right here at Channel 5 on Coney Drive. Auditions are open to all children under 18 in any performing art. Don't miss your chance to be a part of the show. It's Summerfest 2022.
Right, and we are back.
Yes, we
and
are.
as we promised in our second conversation, we would have none other than Mr. Dylan Vernon, who will be speaking with us today about his new book, Political Clientelism and Democracy in Belize.
It rolls right off the tongue, though. It
From
does.
my hands to yours. And if you see the cover page, it's a very interesting cover page. One hand, $, another hand, X marks the spot, right into the ballot box.
I feel like you should go and be a part of the review just based on the. But do you know what this is, right?
Yes.
This is somebody puppeteering the
Yes.
strings, puppeteering the monies, puppeteering the ballot box.
It's
and
also-
initially puppeteering the vote that goes.
It's also art, you know,
Yes.
April, and art is up for interpretation,
Of course.
as well, and so we could all interpret it in different ways. But we have the man of the hour here to kind of give us an idea.
I really want to know the inspiration of the cover before
Yes.
we even begin into the content of the book.
Good morning, Mr.
Good
Vernon.
morning.
Good
How are
morning. Good
you?
morning. Good to be here. Thanks for having me to introduce my new book.
Yeah.
The cover, I mean, your interpretation of it is spot on.
Yeah.
But I think people will interpret it in different ways.
Yeah.
And the cover is by a very progressive graphic artist in Belize named Carlos Quiroz.
Oh, everybody.
I contacted him and said, look, this is what the book is about. Send me something.
Wow.
So this is what he sent me. And
Carlos,
well, one of the things he sent me.
He really is.
And
great at that,
so, yes, you can interpret what you want from the cover of the book, but what you just said is also partly my interpretation.
Okay.
But hands, controlling hands, and there, if you notice at the top, there's still some more puppets going up. So,
Interesting.
but maybe that's you said at the beginning, what is this word? Political clientelism.
Yeah.
And you're right. It's a pretty big word, but at the end of the day, what we call it in Belize is the politics of handouts.
Yeah.
Handout politics, patronage politics. We also sometimes call it benefits politics. But basically, what it is when we have this exchange where politicians provide resources or favors or the promise of these things to citizens who receive them and promise their political support or make it seem that they will give to the politician their political support. So it's that exchange. And we all know that this happens in Belize. I use the word political clientelism because it more broadly captures all the interactions and relationships that happen in this thing we call handout politics. It's not only about handouts. As the book cover will tell you, the money has to come from somewhere. So there are all these interconnections, and political clientelism better captures all this. And also, it's not only for a Belizean audience, but for, I would hope, a Caribbean and an international audience.
I think I'm reading too much into from my hand to yours in the whole retrospect of it all. I'm not interpreting as Dylan to audience. I'm interpreting it as whosoever is pulling the string to my hands.
Well, yes. You know, that little phrase from my hand to yours comes from one of the many interviews I did with an no longer active politician from the pre-independence era named Alejandro Vernon, who is in the Toledo district. And he said basically, well, you know what handout politics means. It's from my hand to yours.
Yeah.
And I expect something in return. So that's basically the phrase I pulled from that. And I acknowledged him in the book that this is where the subtitle comes from. But I mean, if we think about it, today, tomorrow, sometime this week, on a daily basis, some Belizeans will be lining up in front of something called a political clinic, somewhere in one of the 31 constituencies in Belize, across ethnic groups. And they will line up and go either to the politician or the politician's broker, the representative, and they would be there to request something that they need or want. Pay the light bill, access to land, just maybe money for food. The lists, and I list these things in the book, are numerous that people will go for. Most of these people will be poorer Belizeans, but not all. Some will be middle-class Belizeans too, in greater numbers, who would go to these clinics. And middle-class Belizeans might not go to the clinics and line up, but they might go to the offices in Bamapan, make a phone call, but the interaction is the same. You get something that you want or ask for something that you want, and there's this underlying understanding that something is expected in return, and that is political support. And of course, the most tangible means of expressing your support is by the vote. But that's not the only way. You can, I mean, you've heard about renting a crowd, supporting through some donations. You have heard about providing services on election day to your candidate. I mean, there are many ways that you can have political support. But that is the essence of what raised my curiosity to explore this in a microscopic sense and to ask the questions, why is it happening? And more importantly, what impact it is having on our democracy and our development.
I want to focus on that word that you said, tangible, because the culture that we have, not just in Belizean society, but across different areas, where we don't realize that the way that a politician can provide for you is through the means of public monies. So you are asking favor from your political leader, your whosoever it is that you're asking favor from, to bestow upon you whatever it is that you want, but it's still coming from your pocket. So then how can you separate the two? Why am I begging you to give me back the money that you used? That for me.
Yes.
You know?
No, that's an excellent question, and it gets to the heart, I think, of the key message that I want to give in this book, that this handout politics has gone too far. It has entrenched our society all over the country, and the most important message, I suppose, is that this is damaging our society. One of the ways it is damaging our society is exactly what you mentioned, that our public institutions have either failed people or they have been co-opted by some politicians on both sides of the fence. And I want to make it clear that this book is looking at the entire system over time and not at one political party or the other. And but yes, our public allocation institutions basically have failed people. And so people feel the need to go to their politician to get something that they should get from an independent and objective public service. But that process has broken down. Now, of the 3 major causes that I name in the book for causing this, resulting in this entrenched clientelism, it's that one, that our public allocation organizations, institutions have failed to deliver regular needed resources and services. And one of these, of course, is social welfare. So that is one of the key causes. Of course, the other 2 that maybe I should mention now that I pinpoint would be that of the competition, the intense competition between the political parties, where not only have they evolved into having less distinctive policies, but they compete more and more on who can be the best clientelist machine to the people. And so it's even more that they are becoming similar in that this is how they compete most of the time. Clearly there are differences here and there, but for the most part. And the last one, the third one would be that there is social need. We have poverty, we have inequality, it is growing, and when the institutions are not going to deliver or are not delivering what people need, people will rationally get it from somewhere. And the politician becomes who they go to. Although nowhere in our constitution does it say that the politician should provide
or has the means to provide.
The politician is there when you're elected to be a policymaker, to make laws, and to oversee the executive. That is what their roles are. But the biggest role is that the politician, the representative, has become a social welfare agent as a first resort, in a way, to so many people. And my point is, look, people, look, Belizeans, fellow Belizeans, this has gotten out of hand. And that is what the book is about.
I would imagine there is a place for social welfare within a democracy. And you speak of withholding that welfare as one of the causes. And I would imagine that leads to a level of dependency, as you rightfully mentioned. The withholding of these resources, is it intentional to create that dependency?
You know, good question. I think that clearly, at the end of the day, most politicians have as their key motivation to do this sort of thing. And this is, it doesn't take a lot to discover this, winning the next election, getting votes. When I asked politicians, why do you engage in this? Their answer is, we are helping people. And also the answer is, well, the other side is doing it, and so I have to do it to win. And so they become welfare agents almost by de facto and partly by design. It's an electoral tactic, so it's designed. It is de facto because they are meeting a social need that they themselves and the wider society have not met with a governance, public governance approach, social welfare for everyone, an independent approach where you get things based upon need and merit. And the thing is, the longer this informal social welfare process goes on, the more difficult it will be to fix the formal social welfare. Because people, as part of almost their political culture, get to understand this is the way things work. And I mean, if we look at a young person who is just about to vote, perhaps in the next election, or just voted in the last election, maybe it's all they know. This is how it works. And if the book lists about 15 sort of negative impacts of this entrenched handout politics, and I would urge people to take a close look at those to get that comprehensive understanding. Look, this thing is out of hand, and we need to address it.
If as a young voter, I'm to go to my minister and request a piece of land because I don't have a piece of land, am I participating in this type of exchange that you're talking about?
You are participating in it if you go there with the understanding that he's going to expect your vote.
Well, I mean,
No, but I mean, how do they know? Because when you're in the voting cube, it's you and your paper. So how do they even know that you vote for them?
And this is the why political clientelism and how it's defined is a dynamic and very flexible a sort of relationship, because yes, the politician will not know for sure how you vote, but they will try to influence the political support of enough people that they will have an advantage over the competition. And they will also, and I think that there are examples of this in Belize. In fact, there are a couple in the book where the politicians do try to monitor to an extent your political activity. I mean, they would say which rally do you go to, which constituency election do you vote in, and remember that cell phone thing in the booth. I think it was the 2008 election, where people were being encouraged to take photographs of ballots to show who they voted for. In other words, doubt is created around whether the politician will find out or not. And some people believe that they will find out. So even that perception is enough for some people to say, well, I have to deliver this vote for this person who gave me.
I don't want to give away too much of what is in your book. Regardless, it's a lot of pages, and I definitely will be. I'll be using that for my class. I have to. It's a great book. But tell us about the launch and when it is, what we can expect from it.
Yeah, and just before I do that, I will say one of the things I think that is my own self that is unique about the book is that, you know, the Belizean term "when fish come for river bottom." There are 183 sort of interviews I did, including with 46 active and ex-politicians. And they include all the former prime ministers, the current prime minister, and politicians across both political fences. And so they're the ones I get a lot of information on. So launch-wise, the launch is today at 10 o'clock. The panel will include Dr. Harold Young, professor of political science, and former Senators Manny Salas. And it will basically be a sort of formal launch of the book, hopefully with a few people in the audience. And I will be making book presentations to a few libraries and basically generating interest in the book. Yes.
Where can somebody buy the book?
The book is available online from the publisher, the University of the West Indies Press, from Amazon, from Book Fusion. There is a 30% discount on the cost of the book, which is quite expensive. It's $100 Belize, so it will be $70 Belize for the next month. There's a code that I know you have. You can use that. Today at the book launch, the book will be on sale again for 30% discount. And after that, it will be available at the University of the West Indies Open Campus for purchase. And there's also, of course, the e-copies that are available for the book. So, no, I urge people to take a look and draw your own conclusions. You won't perhaps agree with everything in it, but I hope that the takeaway is that we need to collectively do something about this entrenched handout politics and the damage it does to our society, and to ensure that as part of this new political People's Constitutional Reform, I should say, Commission, that this becomes one of the issues that the Commission grapples with through, of course, people's consultation and tries to mitigate.
Before we wrap up, I have a final question, and it comes to term with because this is a culture, right, that we have in Belize. What do you think it would take for us to divert from this handout political culture that we have?
Absolutely difficult. I end the book by saying that the prospects are dim based upon the context that we have, but we must never despair and always attempt to fix something that is so damaging. And clearly, decreasing social need, having better social welfare for people are two big things. But also, I mean, campaign finance reform, regulation, we don't have that at all. That is where the connections are made on the hands sort of controlling. The politicians get the money from somewhere, from private sources mostly, but also from public sources. And the private source part is one that can be regulated to some extent by asking who gives you money, regulating, limiting how much you can get, and having that be accountable. That could be one part of it. Making the election machinery more fair. I have quite a list of recommendations that are at the end of the book for this, and that I will be also, of course, making through the People's Constitutional Reform Commission.
Finally for me, one of the conclusions I am drawing just from this brief exchange is that currency in clientelism isn't simply tangible. That you spoke about.
Absolutely.
You spoke about promises as a currency, which for me is mind-blowing, because we in ordinary human behavior, ordinary human exchange, we don't necessarily take promises as a currency. However, in politics, it seems to be a different dynamic. Offering a job is also understanding that you have the power to give me a job.
Afterwards, if you vote for me, this will happen.
But they technically don't have that power. They shouldn't have that power.
Again, it's another currency in this whole exchange.
And there are aspects of all this that are totally illegal, because the representation of the People's Act, or the Representation of the People Act, basically has a section, Article 32 to 47, that outlines the illegality of this process of vote buying, vote selling, vote influencing, and has fines and even up to 1 year imprisonment if you're caught. Never has someone successfully used that of the 8 times it's been tried. And we can go into why at a different time, but it is illegal, and it is on the books as being illegal.
You know what? This book will make I go down rabbit holes, and I can't afford for that right now. But thank you so much, Dr. Vernon, for coming in, stopping by, and showing us. And hopefully we get a snippet of the launch that is going to be live streamed on the UWI website?
No, it won't be live streamed, but there will be a virtual launch that the University of the West Indies Press is doing next month that will be more, it will be live streamed and available for everyone to see.
There should be coverage in the newscast.
Yes, there will be.
10 a.m. book launch today, Dylan Vernon's Political Clientelism and Democracy in Belize.
Good stuff.
From my hand to yours. Get your copy. It's available on Amazon, and it's a 30% discount for this month from the 26th to the 26th of August. So get your copy today. Get some stuff in. Go down to rabbit holes. Thank you so much, Dr. Vernon, for coming in. And with that, we'll take another break and we get back to our final segment. So stay tuned.
I'm always on the go, and the country is my home. So when I want to get away from it all, I immerse myself with my favorite movies, all from the new Smart Stream app. It's easy to use this service. Purchase your movies from the app and use your mobile data, Smart Stream data packages, or smart broadband to stream and enjoy. Be like me and stream on the go with Smart Stream.
As a parent, raising a family has its challenges.
How many times have I told you not to play ball in the house?
But growing up in a family has its challenges too.
I can't take this no more.
Let me share a little bit about what mine was like with you.
Uncle, where do you get your information from?
Right up on Facebook, you show me.
Guess what? Lisa got her period.
But don't get me wrong, we had fun too.
I like me like 1, 2, 3.
I can't wait to share more about For We Family. Your life just got a lot less complicated with Belize Bank contactless MasterCard debit card. Introducing our standard debit and MasterCard Platinum debit cards. Now you can make purchases anywhere MasterCard is accepted with one tap, pay and go. Your contactless card never has to leave your hands, especially in these times. And your card is embedded with multiple layers of security. Platinum card holders get to enjoy extra benefits like price protection, purchase protection, trip inconvenience, and luggage protection, just to name a few. Start enjoying a cashless lifestyle today with the Belize Bank.
Your Tuesday night entertainment is back. KTV The Remix Season 4.
KTV.
Come on out and win fabulous prizes and the chance to compete in our halftime challenge. Tickets are available at Channel 5 on Coney Drive at $3 for children and $5 for adults. Mask will be required. Or you can watch it live on Channel 5 or streaming on Facebook. The show starts at 8 p.m. at the Bliss Center for the Performing Arts. KTV The Remix Season 4. It's hot, it's live, and it's only on 5.
Calling all young performers. It's your turn to take the stage. If you have the talent, we have the show for you. Here's your chance to perform in Belize's #1 children's talent show, Summerfest 2022. Singing, dancing, acting, whatever your talent, we want to see. Come audition on Thursday, August 4th and Friday, August 5th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. right here at Channel 5 on Coney Drive. Auditions are open to all children under 18 in any performing art. Don't miss your chance to be a part of the show. It's Summerfest 2022.
Yo, this is Super G the General, and I want to invite you all to the
Belize International Music and Food Festival.
That will be held for 2 nights, July 30th
and the 31st at Sakachispas Field. This party insane.
As you left my yard, tell me why you come back.
You know, it's yours truly, King Room Official.
It's your boy Stick the Artist.
My name is Clayton Williams.
It's your boy Dando.
Hi, my name is Deja.
TLC, baby.
Blessings, everybody. This is Original Coffee inviting you out to the Belize International Music and Food Festival in San Pedro. There will be me, many other artists. There will be enough music, enough food. So come out, enjoy yourself.
And we are back with our final segment for the morning. We have the 2 lovely ladies from the Belize City Council representing us today. In studio, we have Erin Garnett, who is the Communications Manager, and Melicia McDougall, who is the LED Manager of Belize City Council.
Morning.
Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
So remember when I said I'm not a resident and I know nothing?
Yes.
Okay, great. Tell me stuff.
Back to School Edition Super Sale. We just had our first Super Sale in like 2 years after COVID in May with our Mother's Day edition. So now we're back with our Back to School Edition, which is actually one of the most looked forward to ones that we have in addition to our anniversary edition.
All right. So what can we expect?
we're looking at all back to school. So in addition to all of our other sales, we have everything that parents need to get their little ones back to school. And we know that this year, this upcoming semester, we're looking at full attendance classes and full time as compared to last semester. So we really have all the stuff to get you ready. We have Angela's Press, A&R, Debari, Uniform Stop. We have so much more.
Mikado's, of course, will be
uniform
part
materials.
of it too,
We also have in Uniform Stop, you could buy ready-made uniforms, or you could go out there and actually take your measurements for your uniforms.
So how did this super sale idea come about? Because it has become quite the event for Belize City.
It's like its own name now. It's
Yes,
a super
it
sale.
is.
You
Once
just think
you start
downtown
up, you
Dun
know
City.
Albert Street lock off and things pop off.
Well, this actually started like in 2018, and the mayor was noticing people kept going to Cheddar Mall as compared to coming on Albert Street and spending their money at home. So the mayor said, how could we keep our money at home, support our local entrepreneurs?
Right.
The super sale idea came. We started off with like 20 businesses, and now it's like over 100 businesses. So we've really seen it grow.
So when you say back to school, do you mean primary and high school?
Yes.
Okay,
All
everybody.
levels.
all levels, right?
So is the super sale true to its name in that we're going to get sales,
Yes,
but not only
yes.
sales, super sales?
Super sales. So the requirement or criteria for super sale is that when people come on, we ask them the least you could give is a 20% and up. So we're thinking 20% to 50%.
Okay, so the businesses, they agree
They are very cooperative and they know what it is. It's the super sale. It's its own brand now. People know what to expect.
Is it also an income generating thing for the council?
Residents do pay for their booth, but it's like a $25 charge, $50 charge, depending on the size of space that you get.
Okay.
And that helps us with marketing and things like that, so people could come out and spend their money.
So it's this full blown out event. So apart from the sale itself, what else is taking place?
All of Albert Street is blocked off. It's basically a block party that we have 6 times a year. So in addition to the sales, it's also other things like a marketplace in addition to money exchange. For example, Belize Medical Associates will be having a booth and they're going to be signing up people for NHI if you're interested.
Sagicor will also be there.
St. John's
insurance,
Credit Union will be discussing their back to school loan promotions. So there are other things happening besides just money exchange and sales.
It's also an important opportunity for small businesses to come out to display themselves and to show the public what they can offer them service-wise. As it relates to the lead department, there is a specific tent that we create for particularly small businesses that are just coming up that won't necessarily have what they need to start up to actually get a tent together and their display up and up those things. So we offer that opportunity free of charge. This back to school, we have several members from the youth program that the Belize City Council
we were having a
is doing
summer
this
program.
year.
So in addition to swimming, volleyball, and finance classes, we also have entrepreneurship classes for youths for the summer.
I met with those.
And there are 4 of them
so
that
we've
will be there
invited
too.
them to come to Super Sale, and they're like 10, 15, all different age ranges. And there's this one girl, she sells nachos, so that's her business, and she's gonna be there, and she calls it nachos over muchachos. That was my favorite. She is going to be there. So we're giving them some exposure and their business.
I had a conversation with her, and I was asking
You buy her nachos?
It's good. Well, I didn't buy it. She actually had nachos prepared for me, but she was like, so I was asking where the name come from, right? And she's like, you know that saying, bros over?
She's on the right track. She's on the right track.
And because for her, it's a marketing scheme.
Yes.
For her, it's this is going to
pull you in.
People will come.
But it's for me when I looked at them and I got to meet them, because I met the 4 businesses, because they're actual businesses. There's a 10-year-old who is just dynamic. But they came up with the idea just because intently they wanted to make sure that they started working towards something goal-oriented. Since they are now at this point, they've all experienced COVID and what it did to maybe their households and whatnot, losing jobs and those things. So for them to be thinking business at the age of 10 was impressive.
It is.
Especially,
it really is impressive.
This generation, right? Thinking
we
business
are nothing
at
but
the age of 10.
resilient.
Extremely impressive.
What I love also about these entrepreneurs that will be on display at the super sale is the fact that they're utilizing social media as well as a part of their businesses. And so we live in a generation where social media has become a part of our daily lifestyle. And for them to be equipped in a way where they can see social media as a tool for marketing and for business. And so I'm looking forward to seeing how they now take the super sale, kind of take some images, kind of their customers, interact with their customers, post it online, share their social media to customers as well.
I was looking at the flyer and looking at everything that you have to offer. So you say it's a block party, so I'm assuming entertainment.
Yes. Entertainment, we've got Roma J's, we've got Super Fura Band, Blue Steel Songs, we've got drinks, Bone and Bone will be out there, Brain Freeze Margaritas, Lizard Juice, free kids zone provided by the Belize City Council. So we have Uzidakong trampolines and bouncy houses, all free of cost by the Belize City Council.
Wow.
And entertainment is
snacks
free
for the kids too. There's snacks for the kids. So
entertainment is free. Some of the activities are free. What else are we expecting?
We are having giveaways, and these are going to be sponsored by our downtown-based businesses, because we also have a lot of booths out there, but we also have our core downtown businesses that are part of the super sale. We're talking Brody's, Mirage, you know,
the cell phone,
the main stretch. They're also a major part of the super sale, and you know, one of the main reasons why we created the downtown super sale.
And security, is that a part of the
We've made connections with the Belize Police Department, as we do for every super sale, and our special constables unit will be out there as well. And we have traffic officers available to help guide the traffic, since the whole street will be blocked off. We need to park on side streets and do a little walking to get there.
Yeah, because I know security is a concern.
Yes, of course.
And this is July 30th.
This Saturday, 10 a.m. We actually started marketing for this super sale a bit earlier than usual, just because we wanted the parents to have something to look forward to prepare, to know that this sale for this event is coming. You don't have to worry for your back to school needs.
So, I mean, I know I'm looking at the super sale. You're telling me that I'm block party. You're telling me all of these things, but when it get to the core of it, right, it is for back to school.
It is for back to school.
So when I'm thinking about that, are there going to be any schools or so forth that have booths or so?
Schools will not have booths. It's mostly for preparing for the back to school needs.
Okay.
So uniforms, and we're talking much more than exercise books and notebooks and pens. We're talking calculators, geometry sets, the whole 9 yards.
Anybody on the ASL textbook? Cause Lord knows
yeah, that probably will be one
the
of
good thing about the sale, April, is that if you have your list, if you don't have your list yet, you could prepare a list this week and know that you could go down there to get that deal.
It's a great opportunity.
We also want residents to know that in addition to all of the long list of back to school supplies we still have our usual sales on clothes, makeup, perfumes, appliances, and everything else. It's not, solely for parents. So it's for everyone.
The list of small businesses, we're talking about Belize businesses from across the country, or Belize City.
We don't lock it off to Belize City small businesses. Anybody who wants the opportunity, but it's mainly Belize City small businesses. We have one Everyday Holistic. She's a very young entrepreneur. She makes soaps and handmade things. We have homemade jewelry there. Sol Belize, I don't know if you're familiar with it. She does clay jewelry. So a lot of handmade things that people really take time to create.
Is it too late for a small business to
it's never too late with the doctor.
Okay.
So give us a call at the Belize City Council, send us a WhatsApp, message us on Facebook, we'll fit you in.
Wow. Is there anything else that that you have not told me about the super sale?
I'm pretty good. I feel like I told you.
But there is one event that we want to mention just quickly. There's another festival coming right up, which is a night market that we will be hosting
in Belize City.
August. So
in August.
This is the Belize City
Is this the first of
this
as I'm listening very carefully because I know that the Belmopan night market is
the Belize City Council has been having such a packed summer. We've been trying to find all sorts of events to keep people engaged education, especially the kids. So we've been having summer movie nights and our summer camps,
yes,
super sales, and now
yes.
we also want to do a summer festival, and it's going to be a night of culture, cultural music, cultural foods, handmade products, art. We're trying to create something different.
Nice.
So that's going to be on the Civic Grounds on August 13th.
Wow,
that's going to be
Civic
one of our
Grounds.
like final summer events.
Yeah. Wow, that's interesting. But I've been noting the movie nights in particular.
Yes, the movie nights have actually been so popular.
I drove past, it was last week Saturday or some Saturday.
The first one.
The first one, and I was like, what happened out there?
It's
it looked
wholesome,
like
right? Families bring their blankets.
Park,
That's so
right,
nice.
and people were on the ground blanket. And the movie was showing, I think they were showing Hustle. The movie Hustle. Yeah, I'm very familiar with the movie. Very good movie.
No, I appreciate the efforts because you do need to keep people engaged,
We're trying
and
to keep them
entertained, and having extracurricular activities.
And it's really about also creating a safe space for kids. That's really one of our main goals this summer.
Okay, so the night market is something to look forward to. And that's where I didn't get the name from.
It's not called the night market. It's a summer festival.
Summer festival.
You are calling it a
No.
Summer festival, yes.
Get your act together.
I get back together. I feel like I am being attacked. That's all no. But no, I applaud the efforts 100%. Is there anything else? Do you want to highlight any entertainment, events, and so forth that we can look forward to this summer by the Belize City Council?
It's basically just that we're actually having more movie nights for the summer, and we want to continue it after the summer. Our last movie night was actually supposed to be this past weekend, but because of the weather, we had to postpone. But we're trying to see if we can do it this weekend, so we're going to keep the residents posted.
Just look at the
But guys, come out to the Back to School Super Sale. Get all your back to school supplies. We're going to be there Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Entertainment, food, fun for the entire family.
Primary school and high school.
Yeah, and actually, it goes beyond that.
Yeah.
I personally, I'm a working adult, and I love stationery.
Me too.
I like colorful stationery, so I want to buy my own
Sticky
thing.
notes
So
are a thing.
something like that, I go to buy my own stationery.
And notebooks.
And notebooks and pencils, and
My
then of
own
course you
little
have to color
calendars.
code certain things, so you have to get
Busy
the highlighters.
schedules.
I get it.
I'll go out. I've never been to one, but this
No.
one, I haven't. And I'm
You are
in
set up on
Belize
TV in front
no,
of the
it's the truth.
counter.
I have to speak the truth, and I haven't been to one, but this one I do intend to just go out and see.
I mean, it is one of its, well, the second one after COVID.
After COVID, yes.
Right.
Yeah, okay, there you go. What draws me to this one is the young entrepreneur.
Yeah.
That's
Because
actually
I'm
my
very
main.
encouraged
That's the
by
main
that.
event for me this time
Yeah.
around. This is every super sale we try to incorporate a different aspect and keep it improving each time. So this is
April,
gonna be.
I'm not necessarily a big fan of sweet drinks, particularly Kool-Aid.
Yes, those are our young entrepreneurs.
Particularly Kool-Aid, but there's one of the entrepreneurs. They have like a, I think it's Crazy Cups or something about it, but it's like a sweet Kool-Aid drink, and it has different candy inside, and you could that unique treats express.
Yeah, they will be there too.
And they have candy inside the drink, right? And you could actually taste the flavor.
That's exactly it, the chamoy.
Yeah, chamoy.
Then they have the chamoy drink as well that they didn't want to have on display because they said it's special to the super sale.
Ooh, okay.
So yeah, definitely.
But
Certain things are
They
classified.
also have popsicles and whatnot too. Their
everything
their
is out
variety
there.
is fantastic.
Yes.
I like the idea of it's a back to school event and you have the entrepreneurs because it kind of shows the younger kids that if you continue this way, this is what you can aspire to have eventually.
Yeah.
Imagine then the walkway with Wally change.
Wally discount.
They said then the walkway money for school.
Exactly.
And then that same money what they make, they're going to go buy their books. So we go and we support them.
We've actually been doing a similar program like that. We're having a summer work program as well. So we have high school students who come and help us to improve and paint, for example, BTL Park. And they receive a payment every week, which will help them with their back to school preparations for this upcoming school year.
Wonderful. That's a little bit of incentive for community service.
Yeah, there are also going to be back to school raffles in there from multiple companies. I know Next Gen is doing a back to school raffle where you win 3 months free internet, which is going to help with back to school homework and research.
Wow. Okay.
And also
that's at least the first semester.
Yeah.
In this camera right here, I need you to tell everybody who we could expect and who will be out there and what they can do.
Yeah, so
over 100 businesses. How do I pick my favorite?
You just have to pick your favorite and say it into the camera.
Like a brief
overview
of
brief overview. I'm going to start with our back to school players because that's the main point. We've got Angela Express, A&R, Uniform Stop, we have the bar, and so much more.
Oh, and of course, small entrepreneurs.
Small entrepreneurs.
Yes.
And the list is extensive.
And the list is very extensive because not only the ones under the LED tent, but there are others, you know, strewn about.
Yeah, and one thing we always say about Super Sale, there is such a great mix between larger established businesses like Smart, Bowen and Bowen, Sagicor, and with smaller people that are just coming up and trying to make something of themselves. So we love that mix and being able to support everybody.
It starts at 10 and it ends
6 p.m.
6 p.m. And then you could go to a movie night maybe.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, well, thank you ladies both for joining us
One
this
last
morning.
thing, a full list of our vendors will be out by this Friday, so you could choose all your stops ahead of time.
Where can we find that?
That's going to be on our Facebook page and in the newspaper.
All right, perfect.
Well, thank you ladies once again. With that, we'll take our final break and we'll return to wrap up. So stay tuned.
Hola usuario de eCash, la aplicación eCash está disponible en español. Cambiar el idioma de tu aplicación de eCash de inglés a español es rápido y sencillo. Deja mostrarte cómo se hace. Primero, abre tu aplicación eCash. Introduce tu PIN. Toca el icono More en la parte inferior de tu pantalla. Selecciona Security. Selecciona Language. Y luego selecciona Spanish. Vuelve a introducir tu PIN y ya está. Tu aplicación de eCash está ahora en español y puedes seguir disfrutando de tu cartera digital eCash. La aplicación eCash de Belize Bank te hace la vida más fácil.
I'm always on the go, and the country is my home. So when I want to get away from it all, I immerse myself with my favorite movies, all from the new Smart Stream app. It's easy to use this service. Purchase your movies from the app and use your mobile data, Smart Stream data packages, or Smart Broadband to stream and enjoy.
Be like me and stream on the go with Smart Stream.
Calling all young performers. It's your turn to take the stage. If you have the talent, we have the show for you. Here's your chance to perform in Belize's #1 children's talent show, Summerfest 2022. Singing, dancing, acting, whatever your talent, we want to see. Come audition on Thursday, August 4th and Friday, August 5th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. right here at Channel 5 on Coney Drive. Auditions are open to all children under 18 in any performing art. Don't miss your chance to be a part of the show. It's Summerfest 2022.
And we are back. No, we did do good. We're doing great, Paul. We're back and we are wrapping things up on this lovely, lovely Tuesday morning. And we want to, of course, thank you all so much for tuning in and joining us this morning. We had wonderful conversations and they went by so quickly. I'm going to tell Paul, I don't know how is it that we kept up and kept going so quickly, but the Anti-Trafficking Council, I think, was a great start to discuss their campaign this Friday. The Human Trafficking Awareness Day is this Saturday, but they're hosting events and campaign on Friday.
And of course, we moved into our second conversation with Mr. Dylan Vernon, also an excellent informative discussion. When we talk about political clientelism, there's so much to discuss there, and how entrenched these practices within our democracy, within our political system, within the norms of our society. I grew up watching it from a young age, and I would imagine generations before me had similar experiences. We forgot to ask, and perhaps it's something we could ask later on for the newscast, in terms of where did this all begin? How did this start? Have we found the roots of this practice? You know what I say? If you want to figure out how to stop something, you go to the root side. And that's one discussion to have. And I'm sure you have some ideas as a historian, April, and I would lean on you for that advice. But I would imagine the way that the book has broken down the concept, it's digestible for readers of various ages. I would imagine if you take this book into a high school context, that our high schoolers would better be able to understand this, and it's necessary and important for change in the future generations.
What I really appreciated about that conversation is that, yes, it's the research is particularly towards Belize and Belizean society, but he makes mention that it's not uncommon for other countries. It's not uncommon for other big countries to kind of go through this sort of cultural approach in their politics, right? It's not something new. You talk about roots. I mean, we could sit here all day and go down rabbit holes when it comes to historical ties to political clientelism, but if you want to see more, his book is being launched today at 10 a.m. at the UWI Open Campus. It's not a launch per se. Well, it is, right? But it's more of like a critique, a panel critique on the book and what people think about it, and what you as the audience can contribute, you know, when it comes to this kind of topic and conversation. So, you know, you might want to look into that. And of course, Paul is going to be covering it for news tonight.
The newsroom will be covering it. Any one of our competent reporters will be there
tonight.
And then, of course, April, the final conversation that we just had with two lovely ladies from the Belize City Council, talking about their upcoming super sale.
Big super sale, back to school super sale. And they made mention to highlight that it's not just, you know, back to school supplies, but their young entrepreneurs are going to be out there to highlight their products. And I like nachos before muchachos. That's the name. Invest in the name. I like it.
Yes, I love it.
And they also spoke about different entertainment groups. Larger businesses will be out there. Small businesses will be out there. So get on out there, from books, backpacks to school uniforms. You come with a checklist. Go with your checklist and see what you need for your children, high school and primary school. If you need office supplies, as somebody that works in the office, all of that will be out there, from 20 to almost 50% in sales for different supplies. So
you know,
go ahead
because that nachos before muchachos name has stuck in my head, and I sense some bias there. I've been trying to find
you sense some bias. Didn't you say that it was kind of pivot to the other statement that is also? It is,
but still there is a bias. So I've been trying to find a balance. So what about micheladas before muchachas?
No.
No.
You already said the brewers before, which is a bananas insulting expression. Therefore, you have your nachos before muchachos.
It's the creativity of the youth in the process. That wasn't my choice of words in particular. But I want to create a bit of bias, a bit of balance here, and establish micheladas before muchachas.
Okay, then.
And we can go out with
invest in the product. Will there be chamoy in your micheladas? Of course, there have to be chamoy.
Let's think about
that. You want to do it now? Invest in Paul's new founded business, micheladas before muchachos. I can't believe we promote that just now. But before we go, we would like to say thank you to all of our guests, and thank you to you, the viewers, for waking up and starting your morning right with us. When you see us tomorrow for other wonderful conversations and segments on Open Your Eyes. But if you have any questions or concerns, you can always drop us a line here at oye@channel5belize.com. Or you can watch us live stream on our Facebook at Open Your Eyes BZ, or check out highlights from our shows on our Instagram at OYE Belize. You meet tomorrow when you wake up and you
open your eyes
and start your mind.
Right?
Be sure to keep your eyes, your minds,
and your heart open.
Bye. See you soon, Belize.
Peace.
Open Your Eyes was brought to you by the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.